Welcome back. You found Daryl's Digest. This is where I am documenting my life dealing with depression and dementia. Please watch the other episodes. They really set this channel up for you. I try to incorporate my sense of humor into each episode. Today is Thanksgiving, 2020 style. For someone watching this years after 2020, there's no easy way to explain 2020. It has been one of the messed up years. For those of you watching in 2020, Noah and I spent the day in quarantine. First, Noah's my youngest son. Tuesday, he calls me from school saying he had been exposed to someone who tested positive to the coronavirus or COVID-19. So he is supposed to stay quarantined until December 4th. So today, Thanksgiving, is our third day in isolation. We have turned into sleeping sons of bitches. Ain't neither of us going to be confused for a sleeping beauty, but my, can we sleep. This morning I rolled my fat ass out of the nest around 10 o'clock. He was still sleeping. Around 1, I asked him if he needed something to eat before Thanksgiving dinner, which was supposed to be delivered at 4. Now let me explain something to you. Noah's 17 years old. He's a junior in high school, and he can eat about every 15 minutes or so. Yesterday I told him, after we walked the dogs, I'll make us each a Delmonico steak. So I made 2 great steaks. He was done with his before I was halfway done with mine. Later that evening, he asked me to make macaroni and cheese. So I make two boxes of Kraft macaroni and cheese. I was hoping that those 2 boxes would fill him up, get him through the night. But before I go to bed, he asked me for pierogies. So I make him 6 cheese and potato pierogies. Now let me get you back to today, Thanksgiving. Now can you see why he would never make it until 4 o'clock when dinner was coming? So I make sloppy joes. I ask him, do you want 1 or 2? He says 1. Then he goes out and makes himself another one. Next thing I know, he's sleeping again. So what the heck, I figured I might as well catch some Z's too. I get up about 3:30. He's still sleeping. Carter calls. It says dinner's on its way. So I figured I might as well go lay down again. When I finally get back up, he has eaten and showered. So how was your 2020 Thanksgiving? About that exciting? One of the interesting side effects, I call it, with dementia is memories from years ago become alive, just like something that happened yesterday. When I was growing up, my grandparents lived a couple miles apart outside of Polk, PA. I grew up in Brockway, except for the 2 years we lived in Port Allegheny. So Every holiday was spent with them. We would have Thanksgiving at lunch with one, and then the other, we'd go for Thanksgiving dinner. But I've been thinking about the Adams side of my family this week. My grandmother Adams' maiden name was Carter. That's where our oldest son got his name. Her grandfather was the last Civil War veteran to die in Forest County. However, I never realized the impact that my grandpa Adams, had on me until recently. He worked at Polk State Mental Hospital and ran a small family farm. From the first time you would see him in the morning throughout the entire day, he'd never have a hair out of place. He always wore a button-down work shirt that was never wrinkled or came undone. He was a stoic man, but I have recently started to realize that he had an incredible sense of humor. Sarcasm was usually the basis of his humor. I remember two things he would always say. Remember, these memories come from a man living in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. We didn't have cell phones with weather radar apps. There's no Weather Channel. So I would remember being outside with him and asking, "Grandpa, do you think it's going to rain?" His answer was instantly, "Be a long dry spell if it doesn't." That answer was always delivered slowly and without cracking a smile. But my favorite response came from him my favorite response from him was always when he heard someone say shit. As soon as the tea was finished, he would respond, "If you do, you clean it up." Everything about his delivery of these two comebacks was impeccable. I am so thankful for the influence of all four of my grandparents growing up. My grandfather, on my mother's side, also ran a small family farm. He worked at Joy Manufacturing in Franklin. I have his toolbox, along with his last union contract, and a pipe. There's the dog. My grandmother on that side is the reason that I fear forgetting my family. She did before she passed. It is such a sad memory to think about. So Thanksgiving 2020 is in the books. What were you thankful for today? Was it something meaningful? Everyone should be thankful for your health. It could always be worse. Will you still be thankful next week? One of the most difficult things about living with dementia and depression is having people not understand my diseases. That's the true reason I'm recording these videos on this channel. I hope that someone, someday, somewhere, can be thankful for them. Until the next time, keep counting those D's.